Report a shot fired at officers trying to stop the vehicle.
We have one officer shot.
We got shots fired. Sounded like an automatic firearm.
Copy, code red, shots fired.
We have an active shooter. We have an active shooter inside the fairground.
Active shooters, the controversies that surround them, and our opinions. And now it's Shots Fired with your hosts, TJ Kurgan, Fat Dark Earth, and Dyna Death Milberg.
Hey, everybody. Let's start over. That sounded gay. That sounded gay. What the fuck's wrong with me?
That was horrible.
My God.
Hi, guys.
Been spending too much time at Disneyland.
Hello.
Hey, shitheads, TJ here. I'm with, what's your fucking name? Dyna Death Milberg. And this is Shots Fired podcast, episode number 37.
37.
37. We've been doing this for a minute. And in one of our last podcasts was probably 36.
Yeah.
You know, we made a comment like there just wasn't much going on. You know, there hasn't been a lot of reasons to have a podcast.
We fucked that up, didn't we?
Yeah, well, evidently people are listening to our podcast and they're wanting to give us reasons to talk about shit. And so we are so far behind in talking about shots fired in this country that we got to get – this is like a catch-up episode. We're going to talk in this episode about the Pearl Harbor shooting at the naval base.
Yep.
The Pensacola shooting at the naval base. Coinky-dinky.
Kind of strange.
Yeah. We're going to talk about the New Jersey shootout, standoff, one officer down deal. We're going to talk about what the news isn't talking about with that deal. And we're going to end with talking about FedEx, the FedEx driver that got shot after he got robbed and fired back and took out his assailant.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that as well. So let's get started, shall we? But before we do, let's thank some sponsors.
Yeah.
One of the newest sponsors that we have for the Shots Fired podcast is the USCCA, which, by the way, if the FedEx guy had or is a member of the USCCA, all of his legal expenses
are going to be hefty.
Are going to be covered. Whether it's civil or criminal in the case, they're going to be covered by the USCCA.
Very nice.
It's not insurance. We can't call it insurance. But it's kind of like insurance. You know how insurance...
It's a safety net.
Yeah, insurance gives you peace of mind, right?
Yeah.
And so if you carry a gun every day, like I do, you know, it gives you the peace of mind in knowing that if you deploy that weapon in defense of yourself legally, that you're going to have somebody standing behind you, providing you, the lawyer that you need on the spot and behind you all the way, even through a civil trial.
Yeah, absolutely. Did
you know that, what's that guy that shot the kid with the Skittles and the tea? Yeah, that guy. Come on. What is his name?
I got nothing.
Skittles. You got nothing? George Zimmerman. George Zimmerman.
George Lopez.
No, it wasn't George Lopez.
Where did that come from?
So George Zimmerman, do you know how much his trial cost?
How much?
His civil trial.
How much?
$2 million.
Ah!
He won. They found him not guilty. Right? You remember this guy, right? George Zimmerman. You guys know the deal, right?
Holy
Trayvon Martin. His civil trial to prove his innocence was $2 million.
God damn.
If he was a member of the USCCA, they would have stroked a check for that $2 million.
Bet he wishes he was.
Yeah, for sure. I guarantee you he wishes he was. He probably ought to be their fucking spokesperson.
That's fucking brutal.
But anyway, so like everybody's talking about the FedEx guy, FedEx drivers, UPS drivers, anybody that carries a gun.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not supposed to at your job, you want to be a member of the USCCA. So there's links in the podcast above and below to find out more about the USCCA and how you can even add your wife as a member for I think like 50% off or something like that. Because that's a really good deal. If your wife carries or one of your kids carries, it gives you that extra peace of mind. But you also get access to all their training materials. You get access to their annual convention. It's a pretty cool deal. And I know a lot of the guys over at USCCA, and it's a solid company, and they've never not stroked one of those checks when something bad happens, to one of their members. So nice. You can also text TJ to some number. Like, let's see where the hell that is. Let's click that thing there, and then this thing here, and you can text TJ to 87222. Is that right? 87222.
222.
So text TJ as in total jackoff to 87222. And you can get information on how to become a USCCA member. We got other sponsors we're going to thank really quick, and that is Adams Arms.
Yep.
The most awesome piston kit conversion for any AR-15 rifle. Never clean your rifle again. We've got Clip Draw. Clip Draw is an awesome deep concealment solution when combined with a Kydex trigger guard, especially for when you're wearing light clothing or for your woman for Christmas. It's probably too late by the time you hear this podcast to get a Clip Draw shipped for Christmas.
I believe I checked shipping statuses, and if you do 2 day, there's still time.
Yeah, you can still do it. So clipdraw.com, it's the best present you could give your woman if she carries a gun, and if that gun is usually concealed within her booty shorts or her jogging pants or her sweatpants or her shorts or whatever. It's also good for you if you're wearing shorts or silkies. Board shorts, whatever. So Clip Draw is awesome. I want to also thank our sponsor, Unimag.
Yeah.
Unimag, the magazine that basically takes everything. It's like the porn star of magazines.
One magazine to rule them all.
One magazine to rule them all. 7.62 by 39, 300 blackout, 6.8 SPC, right? The whole 2.4 Valkyrie, 7mm AR. What is it? What's the
6.5, 6.8, 458?
6.5 Grendel, right?
Yeah.
So all of them,
39.
and right now they've got those on sale at unimag.com. Unimag.com. These magazines were $50 when we started talking about them.
Yeah.
They're on sale right now for 60% off. They're only $19.99.
That's not bad.
So literally, you can buy them for the price of a regular magazine and have, and I recommend you order 3 or 4 or 5 like I did.
Yeah.
And just, you never have to get a different magazine for all the different calibers you're going to shoot your rifle, other than, say, 9mm or something like that. But anyway, enough of the sponsors. We have other sponsors. We're going to thank them later, but we want to move on to the shit show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So let's talk about Pensacola first.
Yeah.
Right? So what do you know about the Pensacola shooting? The shooting that was over a week ago, right?
Yeah, I can't even remember what date that was.
And according to Google News, the last story printed about it was over a week ago.
Well, that was quick.
Yeah, it seems that somebody doesn't want the media talking about this story, and the media doesn't want to talk about this story either. Why would that be?
Man, first of all, a lot of fucking balls were dropped. A Saudi Arabian, I'm guessing military.
Air Force.
Was in, which this happens commonly. We've had some of the guys, not Saudi Arabians, but
his name was Mohammed Saeed Al-Shamremi.
That's a mouthful.
And so he was where?
Pensacola Naval Air Station.
Okay.
They had, one of the trained foreign militaries. They were working with him. I don't know what courses or what training he was doing. I'm going to assume it had something to do with pilot stuff. And started firing and engaged and killed some U.S. service members. 3 of them, to be exact. I think he wounded 8 people. Yeah.
Killed 3, and he was put down on the scene by 2 local county police sheriff's deputies.
Yeah.
He shot both of them, but they managed to kill him.
Yeah.
They both are recovering. But Mohammed Saeed Al-Shamrami has been training in the U.S. for quite some time. And is a part of a group of Saudi military. And did he have a party the night before he did the shooting?
Yeah. So the first thing that stood out was he had a watch party.
A watch party.
He had just like most people in America do a Super Bowl. I guess terrorist attacks are the Middle East version of the Super Bowl. So they pulled up videos on YouTube of mass shootings and watched them.
Can you do that? Does YouTube have like mass shooting category where you can just go watch this? Or is this some sort of jihad tube?
There could be like Ahmed tube or something. Yeah, but apparently that's what he was doing was he was looking up videos and had a screening party. I do believe, if I remember correctly, there was other Saudi students there. Apparently no one said a fucking thing. Also now, we looked it up prior and found some more information I didn't know that this guy was pretty active on social media. It said over 2,700 tweets, and they kept referring to how he lived a double life. He was in the U.S., training with the U.S. military for the Saudi Air Force. However, on social media, he was very anti-American, anti-Israel,
He literally quoted in his tweets. Now, this is This is a Saudi national, military member on American soil.
On a military
allowed
base.
in a military base.
Yes.
And he had tweeted in the past, publicly,
A lot.
quoting Osama bin Laden.
Yes.
Calling America the great devil.
Yes. Going off on how we handled Russia. Of course, the U.S. supported Israel. How U.S. and Russia handled Syria. And was very outspoken. Apparently, he was also quite anti Saudi royal family and not a fan of their ties within the U.S.
He also quoted on his Twitter Anwar al-Awlaki, which is an al-Qaeda leader today.
Yeah. And I mean, he was very, very outspoken. Now, that's one thing that immediately pisses me off. Currently, there's been a lot of issues with U.S. military members and social media. For anybody who wasn't in the military, you don't really have rights or freedom of speech when you're in the military. You waive your liberties and rights when you're in the military like a motherfucker. Double jeopardy, you can get double jeopardy as a motherfucker in the military. Freedom of speech, nah. That shit ain't happening. And there's been a lot of issues with the military, specifically my fellow Marines, with social media. There's been some groups I won't mention because I don't want to bring them more negative attention or fuck them over. But there's been some groups that has gotten pictures for leaking pictures, naked female Marines, stuff like that. Just
you guys call those Wookiees?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, we'll just leave that there. And
wait, I can't make the Wookiees. There you go.
They're getting absolutely fucked. Like NJP court-martial, bad conduct discharge, the big chicken.
Right, because somebody's actually looking at their social media, right?
Yeah, so I mean, they're observed quite highly. So you're telling me fucking Lance Corporal Schmuckatelli, who's fucking 19 years old and posted titty pictures of some female Marine he fucking gangbanged in the barracks the night before, and they're on that shit.
He's getting NJP court-martial.
The next fucking day, they got that shit waiting for him.
And Mohammed Saeed al-Sharami can post tweets.
Good old al-Salami here is like...
He can tweet about fuck the USA, that kill the devil, and quote Bin Laden, and everybody's like, hey, welcome to the military base.
Precisely.
Oh, by the way, here's a fucking Glock. How did this motherfucker have a gun?
And again,
legally. He had a gun legally.
I've been trying to find this. It's difficult to find anything on this.
Doesn't seem to be anywhere in the news.
I heard, and again, I can't remember where I even heard this, but it sounds like somehow was able to acquire a federal hunting or fishing license, which was enough with wherever he purchased this firearm to pass. I don't know how. However, it's not hard to believe the FBI would completely drop the fucking ball again, because that's kind of what they do. I believe the FBI. Yeah,
he purchased it with a hunting license. How do you get a hunting license that allows you to carry a gun if you're not even an American citizen? What do you need to hunt while you're here? I mean, I guess that's
they do have a question on the 4473 about green card and visa status. But still, I would assume. Let's see. Admitted to the U.S. under non-immigrant status is prohibited from him. Yeah, so I mean, he shouldn't have been able to pass. And I highly doubt an FFL let him out the door without passing a background check.
Federal law says that an alien who's admitted to the U.S. under non-immigrant visa is prohibited from having a gun and ammo unless he falls within an exception provided under 18 U.S.C. 922, according to a tweet from the FBI. However, this 21-year-old was able to go buy this gun legally using his hunting license. And that is just unbelievable to me.
Well, it says may have fallen under other exemptions. How the fuck is the FBI not pulling the NICS examiner who looked that up, pulling the everything to figure out how this happened? And I mean, again, I'm starting to think FBI stands for Federal Ball Dropping Institution because these motherfuckers suck at their job. Holy shit. Yeah, well, I am never getting approved for my stamp.
Yeah, dude, you're going to be waiting at the gun shop. They're going to be like, nope,
Yeah.
Nope, 4473
Oh, well.
declined for you because we're doing our job today. So
Won't let me have it, but they'll let a Saudi national who hates the U.S.
So a Saudi militant who openly hates the U.S. on
Loudly
social media
We can't
is
say all
allowed
27
to train on the military base and buy a gun.
Yeah.
And then the night before, he has a dinner party, watch party at his house with other Saudi trainees there.
Yes.
And they watch active shooter videos all night long and jerk each other off. And then the next day he does this shooting and everybody's like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. Fucking seriously? This, guys, is why I carry a gun everywhere, no matter what the fucking sign says, because shit like this happens.
But
Laws mean nothing. Common sense means nothing.
This guy was able to carry one, but U.S. military members are not allowed to carry on base. MPs, that's it. You'll also have like your unit OOD, the officer on duty, will carry a firearm. Past that, you can't fucking carry on base. So, I mean, talk about a soft target. You have guard checks and security to get on the base, but past that, they're not searching your person or your vehicle. And past that, you get on base, only MPs and OOD have gun. Bases are fucking huge. You've been on military bases before. You're aware of how large they are.
Oh, yeah.
It may take a minute, and there is no love for the MPs for me. I'm a grunt. It's just there's no love at all. They are not the highest trained motherfuckers on the planet. So, I mean, it may take a while. Meanwhile, you want to talk about a soft target? You have a military base with military members, and none of them have guns. You would think that is the worst place to ever try to pull something like this.
Right, because the U.S. military doesn't trust its own people with guns.
No, and I get that. I mean, there may have been incidences within the barracks, but I mean, something has got to be.
Well, it's like when Ferguson happened, the National Guard rolls in, and everybody's like, "Fucking yeah, the National Guard's here," and you and I are down there, and they're like, "Yeah, we don't have any bullets."
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they didn't.
Why are you here?
Magazines. They're standing there with an unarmed rifle. It's like, I've got better shit than that.
I've got ammo if you need some, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is and news media is not talking about it. President Trump said that the Saudis will be involved in helping out the families of the
bribe.
So the Saudis are going to grease the palms a little bit.
We can't piss off the Saudis because we have billions and trillions of dollars invested in business with them.
Yeah. Do you know that 3 of the hijackers from 9/11 also claimed their addresses when they were doing their flight training to be the Pensacola Air Base?
Yeah,
isn't that weird? That's weird. That's really weird.
Maybe we should, I don't know, like stop doing this program.
I'm pretty sure this program should stop and should have stopped a long time ago.
Or at least observe these motherfuckers. Like, if you're not from the U.S. and you're here training with military,
somebody should probably follow them on Twitter. Like, okay, Al Salim, we're going to follow you on Twitter, okay?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, that might be a good idea. Just to at least watch their tweets.
Maybe not let them pass a background check to buy a firearm.
Yeah. So here's the thing that really gets me. 2 days before this, there was an attack at Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
At the naval base in Pearl Harbor, on base.
Yeah.
Very similar situation where Gabriel Romero, who is, I guess that's Hispanic, Romero? I don't know. But, he's 22 years old. He started shooting Department of Defense people on base, civilian Department of Defense employees on base with his military-issued M4.
So it does. I'm reading. I didn't know this before. It says he was on duty at the time of the shooting. Was assigned to stand watch on the submarine. So that might explain how he had weapons on him. I never mess with that part of the military, but I mean, especially if it's a nuclear stuff.
Because we earlier, you and I were like, why the fuck did this guy, if he's just a naval dude on a submarine, why has he got an AR?
Yeah, I mean, you're not typically running around base.
But if he's a security guy for the submarine, I guess that makes sense.
Or
but
he's starting to be on fire.
Here you go. He was also enrolled in anger management courses.
Man, I get that, but at the same time, if they restricted firearms to everybody in the military,
isn't that a red flag?
Issues.
Isn't that a red flag? Shouldn't we take his guns? I'm just kidding. No, it's not.
If we took guns away from everybody in the military who's
Had
angry,
anger management.
nobody would have guns.
So anyway, he killed 2 and injured a third with his AR before he decided to use his M9 service pistol to take his own life because he was a coward. This story went nowhere fast because they said no motive was found. So he's just a disgruntled dude, had some disciplinary actions pending in the Navy, and just decides to go trigger happy with his M4.
I'm calling this one that probably is the case. The timing of it's a little off. I wonder if this maybe inspired Mr. Saudi Arabia Al-Salami.
Well, Al-Salami, or whatever the fuck his name is, he did indicate that the countdown.
Yeah.
The countdown has begun was his tweet on 9/11.
Like,
so he was planning this since then. But
this happened in December.
Yeah, did this shooting
And he said that on 9/11 and nothing happened?
How do you fucking... I don't know. But I don't... call me a conspiracy theorist. How do you have a shooting on a naval base in Pearl Harbor, and 2 days later you have one in Pensacola, and they're not somehow entwined? Is this just the new norm? Are we going to have military base shootings on a monthly basis, or
I
just
think
because Christmas is coming?
There already is. It's usually husbands coming back from deployment. Like, no bullshit. It's not that irregular. But the timing of it is a bit odd. Yeah, I don't see how they're connected. But it is a little odd. I mean, the dude could have just hated his chain of command and wanted to murder whack him. I mean, everybody's
but he shot a bunch of civilian DOD people.
Yeah, that I don't get. Then if it was his chain of command, I'd totally understand that.
Yeah. All right. So I think we've talked about everything we can about the Pensacola thing. I think the big story here is the fact that the other Saudi trainees that were with him for the watch party the night before, there's nothing about them. There's no news about their pending charges or detained. Detained was the wording, yeah. So they've been detained, right? And this story just goes away. You know, it just goes away.
Like it will, because we can't piss off the South.
Whenever something is involved in one of these shootings that's big, like Las Vegas casinos or the Saudis, whenever something like that's involved, it's like just sweep that under the rug. We'll just move on. And, fortunately for the news media, there was a gunfight in Jersey.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, a couple days after this deal, there's a gunfight in Jersey, and it was a throwdown.
Yeah.
So originally, the reports come out that there was that a cop in Jersey City had rolled up on some drug dealers in a cemetery, and it turned into a long gun shootout. They turned long guns on the cop, shot and killed the cop, and that they retreated to basically they held up. They went to this market, and they held up inside the market, and it was hours of gunfight with the cops, and 3 people were killed inside the market. That's the story that the nation was fed in the early hours of the event as it unfolded. But what hasn't been talked about by the major media is the fact that this was a hate crime.
Yeah.
Law enforcement is calling it a hate crime. The governor is calling it a hate crime. Media, not so much. The shooters in this case belonged to, what was the name of the organization? Some sort of
Black Israelites.
Black Israelites. And so what had happened was that the detective, who was part of a unit to get guns off the streets in Jersey, where, by the way, Jersey has incredibly strict gun laws, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, they're up there, probably, I'd say, the top 5 in the country.
Yeah. So you're not allowed to have a gun on a military base. You're not allowed to have a gun in downtown New Jersey. Isn't this a weird coincidence that all these shootings seem to be in places that have laws against it? It's crazy. So anyway, these guys, these 2 black men, they turned their long guns on the officer. So the real story is this. The officer sees a U-Haul rented van that's wanted for questioning in a murder from a day or two before. He makes a traffic stop near the cemetery. They get out with AR-15s and they smoke check the cop.
Yeah.
They then drive straight to a Jewish market. People left out the Jewish part. So the black Israelites, they believe that they are the only Jews, and that the Jewish people, as they put it, quote unquote Jewish people, are imposters.
Yes.
And the black Israelites is essentially they're listed by the Southern Law, Southern Law of Poverty, whatever the fuck it's called, as a hate group. They hate white people and they hate Jews. Immensely. And so they kill a white cop, and then they jump in their van and they drive straight to a Jewish market, and they get out gunning. They go in the market, they kill everybody in the market. I think one person escapes, and then the cops get there, and it turns into, which SWAT guy gets to shoot these guys first.
Yeah.
Eventually, the cops do kill these guys after hours and hours of standoff and shootout. When they were going through the pockets of these racist black shooters, they found a phone number. The phone number in the guy's pocket, found on his dead body in the Jewish market, was the phone number and name of Ahmed Hadi. Ahmed Hadi. Ahmed Hadi is evidently he's an illegal arms dealer in Jersey City, and so Ahmed he's currently being held as part of this investigation because he denied having these types of weapons, these AR-15 style rifles.
Oh,
they also found a pipe bomb.
He's a previous felon himself.
Right, he's a felon. So he's not allowed by federal law to own a gun. But yet the Jersey finds the number. They connect him. They crack his safe and they find 3 AR-15s. And so he's an illegal arms dealer in New Jersey. A felon who by law can't own a gun is now selling illegal guns to bad people, which turn around and use those illegal guns to do bad things to good people in places where those illegal guns are otherwise illegal.
Notice it's always in soft targets where there's real strong anti-gun legislation.
Yeah.
You always hear it in cities like Chicago, New Jersey, New York, California. You don't hear about it in Texas, Arizona, Missouri, places where you'll get murder whacked within the first 2 minutes of pulling your AK out. Weird.
Yeah. So we have, and so the media just clammed up about this thing, right?
Yeah.
As soon as they found out it was the opposite of the story they wanted to tell, that it was black racists, these guys attacking Jews.
You
know what? This isn't news anymore. We thought it was drug dealers armed with AR-15s they bought at the gun show.
Never mind, nothing to see here. There's some videos on this group and some documentaries, and these guys are like far out extreme. They're real common, I guess, in New York. You'll find them on the street corners a lot, and they'll be literally just picking out white people, screaming at them, telling them that when the time is chosen, they will all be enslaved.
Evidently, these guys lived in this rental van, and they sold snacks on the side of the road. That was their profession when they weren't gunning down Jews. Oh, what's that? Don't stop it. Stop the audio.
That's loud. Oh my God, what's happening?
I don't know. I need to really not touch technology. I don't know what that is.
Scroll down. There's a video.
Is there a video? Here?
Oh,
no,
or not.
No, there's
somewhere.
No video. There's a video playing somewhere. We'll be right back. Stand by.
This commercial is brought to you by... I don't even know.
I found which tab to get rid of that. Oh, no, I didn't. Oh. God damn it, it's back. Let's get rid of that. Get rid of that. Let's get rid of everything.
And we're back.
Are we really back? I'm afraid we're not. I don't know.
I don't think you're allowed to push buttons any longer.
God, we need a producer.
Doing so well.
We need a producer so bad. We need a producer so bad. I'll tell you what, we are hiring. That's a great segue. TacticalSht is hiring. We are looking for a full-time or part-time graphic designer, preferably to work in-house at our St. Louis location. That graphic designer will be responsible for graphics on all of our social media platforms, graphics on this podcast, graphics on our YouTube, graphics on our website, on our blog, you name it, creating awesome TacticalSht graphics every day, all day, and we are looking for you. It's a hard thing to find a pro-gun artist, or at least an artist that knows something about guns. But if you're out there, we need you. We're also looking for a web developer, somebody with Magento experience. If they have Magento experience, they need to apply with us as well. We are also hiring in Central Florida. We will be opening a store in Central Florida. We're not telling you where yet, but it's close to Orlando. We'll be opening a store sometime in January. We're looking for a manager, a full-timer, and at least 2 or 3 part-timers.
Yeah.
So we are hiring, guys. If you know anybody that's looking in Central Florida or St. Louis, tell them to come see us. So anyway, and that way, Fat Dark Earth can actually spend more time producing these podcasts so that we don't fuck up like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't fun. We did that on purpose.
That was a great segue.
Yeah.
It was a great segue.
Yeah. Distraction.
Yeah. So let's talk about another thing, right? So I think we've beaten the Jersey thing to death, right?
Yeah.
It's just another. The news media latches onto these stories, and they only use it for so long, and until it becomes not part of what they want the spin to be, and then you'll see it drop away immediately. Or if somebody else wants it to drop away, like the Saudis, you'll see it just disappear. Yeah. Right. And some people might say, well, it's not the media; it's just our attention span in this country.
Yeah.
You have to. The more people are killed, the more days we give a shit.
Yeah.
Seems to be a thing. But anyway, the last thing we wanted to talk about, and probably the most important one we wanted to talk about, is the FedEx shooting. So the last podcast 36, we talked about the UPS driver that was a hostage that got smoke checked by the cops that totally fucked that all up.
Yeah.
Right. So then a couple weeks later, now we have a FedEx driver not taken hostage, but robbed at gunpoint.
These delivery drivers need to start getting hazard duty pay. God damn.
Yeah, well, according to FBI statistics, there were 80 delivery drivers involved in violent crimes over basically strong arm robbery or murder in the last year. So that's, I'm sure there's a lot. If you compare 80 to the amount of drivers that are out there, it's a finite amount. But these guys are targets. I mean, one of the most common things today is to have people case your porch and steal shit off your porch.
Yeah.
So
to the point where people are even like releasing trap videos where they're leaving empty boxes on their porch to catch people stealing shit.
Yeah. So, instead of stealing it off the porch, this particular robber was a little anxious, decided not to wait for him to walk away.
To the source.
And instead of robbing the boxes, the Amazon boxes, he decided to straight up stick up the FedEx driver. He took his wallet, which included his FedEx ID card and I think his car keys and everything else. And this robber, I guess, jumped in his car, right? Because we know that the robber fired his gun from within his vehicle, right? The casings were on the floor of the car. So, according to the statement of the FedEx driver, he gave the guy his wallet, and then the guy shot him, right? Maybe it happened that way. Maybe it didn't. But
didn't want to leave any witnesses.
That's the way the statement goes, and that's the story.
You can't ID somebody if you're dead.
Right. So then the bad guy gets in the car and then basically gut shoots the FedEx driver. Now, at some point, before he gut shot him or after he gut shot him, the FedEx driver drew his own pistol, which he had a permit to carry. Now, I should say that FedEx does not allow their employees to carry guns. This is a policy of probably every single trucking company in America.
Yeah.
It's a stupid policy.
Yeah.
It's not a policy created by liberal anti-gunners. It's a policy created by conservative controllers and lawyers that don't want the liability, right? So if they say it's against the policy, then they're not in trouble when one of their drivers smokes the bad guy and also smokes somebody. Let's say a FedEx driver has like the aim of the Miami-Dade police. That puts FedEx in the liable seat, right?
I just realized that too, that a FedEx driver engages all around hit bad guy, no one else hit.
Right. Right. So
they train police department. Hits everybody, and the bad guy laughs.
Yeah. That's usually how it goes down.
So, are you telling me if your house gets broken into, you're being attacked, there's an active shooter, call FedEx?
They'll get there before the cops will. Probably. So what you could do if you have a home invasion and you want somebody that's a better trained shooter to show up at the house, order something from Amazon Prime. quite possibly with Amazon's new shipping, it might get there faster than the Popo. Just saying.
With better accuracy.
And I say that in jest. I know like 30-something% of our listeners are cops. I'm an ex-cop. One of the reasons I got into the shooting industry, and I'm so passionate about shooting, self-defense, physical fitness, and all of these things, is because when I was in the academy, they drilled it into our heads that, like 98% of police-involved shootings happen within 6 feet. They're over within 4 seconds. And police accuracy in those shootings is like 20%.
Ugh.
And when I heard that, I'm like, ain't going to be me, bro. Ain't going to be me. I'm getting all rounds on target, and I'm going to walk away. I'm going to solve my own homicide, even if I get shot up. And that's what this FedEx driver did.
Yeah.
He got shot and still managed to take out the bad guy. So he returns fire. Bad guy's in car. Bad guy speeds away. Shooting, casings on the floor, and bad guy is found a block or two away, slumped over the fucking driving steering wheel, DOA, right? So FedEx guy did his job, and defended himself. Now, the big question on everybody's mind is FedEx going to fire this guy? He's going to have medical bills because he got shot. He could have civil liability because the robber's family can still sue you for shooting the robber. Yeah. That will happen. I promise.
There is no prevention.
Anytime somebody can make some money, they're going to try.
Yeah.
So he's going to get sued civilly by the robber's family, most likely, unless he just doesn't have any family. And then in this world, they probably get sued by the homeless shelter or something because they knew the guy.
Yeah.
So you've got a civil suit, you've got hospital bills, and your job may at this point now fire you, and they're probably not going to cover anything that happened. You're because everything started with you violating their policy, right? That's going to be their argument. So this, folks, is what the USCCA is for. This is why if you carry a gun on duty to protect your family, if you don't carry a gun, but you just have one in the house on the nightstand or in the closet or on the top of the armoire, or if you carry a gun as a truck driver or a delivery man or a dog walker or whatever the fuck you do, if you carry a gun, you have a better chance to survive a violent encounter as long as you've got training, right? However, you are opening yourself up to tremendous liability, both criminally and civilly. Do you know the laws in your state? Do you know the 5 things to say when the cops get there after you're involved in a shooting? Do you know what not to say when the cops get there? Man, I smoke checked that motherfucker. Hello, 911. A guy just tried to kill me and I smoked him. Now, do you know what not to say? Do you know what adrenaline does to you? These are the things that the USCCA talks about with their members. And they provide you a little card that goes in your wallet because your adrenaline's dumping. You just checked a bad guy. You've got a gaping hole in your stomach and you're bleeding out. And cops are trying to ask you what the fuck happened. So you pull out your little card from the USCCA and you're like, that guy over there shot me with that weapon and those people saw it. I was afraid for my life. I want to cooperate fully, but I want to speak to my attorney first. Can you please take me to the hospital? I'm bleeding. That is how you do it, right? So the USCCA trains you on that. And then they're going to cover all the civil liability. They're going to cover your criminal defense. They're going to send an attorney right to the hospital or right to the police station or right to the scene, wherever you're at. You're going to have criminal attorney there. Awesome. And once you get sued in the civil court, they're going to do that as well. 9 times out of 10, they just settle the civil suit. They just stroke a check, just to get you out of it.
Yeah.
Now they're not going to cover your medical needs, but let's say you shoot the bad guy in your living room and he bleeds out on the carpet. They will cover new carpet. They will cover the hazard.
Be fucking
your USCCA will pay you. They'll reimburse you for hazmat removal and basically turning your life back into normal. So if you have bullet holes in your drywall, they're going to cover the spackle, right? It's a pretty cool deal. I am an elite member now of the USCCA, and we have decided to not only, allow the USCCA to sponsor our podcast, but we're actually selling the USCCA at our retail store in St. Louis now. It's going to be starting January 1. We're going to be allowing the people to buy those memberships at the counter.
Fuck yeah.
So anyway, if you work for FedEx or UPS or any delivery company, I highly suggest that you click on the link for the USCCA in this podcast. Go learn more about it. Watch the videos. Get the emails and sign up. And
literally save you hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Millions.
Yeah.
I mean, it can literally save your sanity, your family's financial, everything, your future.
Yeah.
Even in a situation where you're completely justified, because even in a world where you do something completely justified, there are people trying to show that you are just a bad guy and you did bad things.
Yeah.
And you've wanted to do this ever since you were 3, and here's a tweet that you sent out, and boom. You need that representation. So join the USCCA. Use my link so I get credit for it. Would you please? And that's it. That's it. That's the end of the podcast. It is almost Christmas. What do you want for Christmas?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Motorcycle parts, probably.
Motorcycle parts?
DMR stuff.
Yeah.
DMR stuff. That's what I've asked Santa for.
I asked for ammo. I put some steel targets in the woods across the lake from my house. My subdivision doesn't allow shooting.
Yeah.
And so I just need a shitload of subsonic 300 blackout.
Yeah, I would say so.
What they can't hear. And they don't listen
to
the podcast.
What was that? Squirrel.
Right. I need those, though, too. Because, this new house I live in, last night at 3:45 in the morning, this is no shit story.
Yeah.
Last night at 3:45, my wife wakes me up. She's like, coyotes. And I wake up, and there is literally what sounds to be a pack of coyotes in my backyard, like right underneath my bedroom window, and it sounds like they're ripping something apart. They're howling, yapping, barking. And as soon I get out of bed, I make it like 2 steps to the window, and I bump. It's a total melee going on outside. And I bump the blinds, kind of make this. That's the noise it made inside the house, and went quiet. And when I opened the blinds, no coyote.
They're fucking crazy little critters.
I checked my cameras. There's no coyote. Like, where the fuck are these things at? They sounded like they were in my bedroom.
Did you check
under
the roof?
Do you think Santa's dropping coyote on the roof?
I don't know.
You never know.
That's some Delta Force shit, man.
Well, you know what? We need to end this podcast because now we got to walk into the other room and do the Christmas show.
We got a full fucking night ahead of us.
I know. So it's the annual Christmas show. It'll be done and gone by the time you hear this podcast.
Yep.
But you can find it on Facebook, YouTube, IGTV, wherever. Oh, by the way, thank you to everybody that helped us get our Instagram page back.
Fuck yeah.
We lost our Instagram page at 387,000 followers. Took us 6 years to build it. And Instagram just took it down. Didn't even tell us why.
No reason, nothing.
We tried to grow a new page. We are running a new page. I'm running that page. It's TacticalSH_T. It's up to like 36,000 fans. However, we were able to get our page back. Now, I can't tell you the guy's name, but there are still freedom fighters that work behind the enemy lines in Facebook and in Instagram. These freedom fighters are competitive shooters that actually work for the company, and they work as a liaison between companies like us that get wrongfully taken down by the algorithm, and they get us back up. So when the page came back up, what was it that got us taken down? I don't even know what the post was. It was a picture of a gun.
Yeah, it was a picture of a gun, and they actually said that it violated their rules of selling firearms, which is crazy because we don't sell guns. It was just a picture of a firearm. Yeah. I don't even think it was a product on that firearm we sell. It was just gun porn.
Yeah, it's just gun porn.
But they somehow got it confused and
well, it's the thing. So it's an algorithm. It's not a human being looking at it. It's just we had so much. So we've been in trouble for lots of stuff. And this is what I told this guy. I'm like, look, they say it's nudity when there's no nudity.
Yeah.
They say it's hate when there's no hate. And they say it's selling prohibited products when we're not selling prohibited products. Yeah. So you get all these strikes against you, and then the algorithm's like, yeah, whatever, bye-bye, and you go away. But like he said, the fact that our page was big and a lot of people made a lot of noise about it, that's why they put it back up. So don't let this, if this happens again to us or anybody else, this happened to Agency Arms this year. It happened to Uncle Sam's Misguided Children again. I mean, it happened to us back in November of 2017. Always seems to happen right by the
Military
holidays.
Arms Channel.
Military Arms Channel. Mac.
Mr. Guns and Gear.
Yeah. But you know what? The community came together and helped us out. I mean, we had Brownells posting us. We had huge pages. The Man Spot, people we don't even have relationships with, were helping us regrow. And so I want to thank them all personally. And Merry Christmas.
I'd like to address something too, because that reminded me of something. During that whole thing, there's been posts we made because we've done stuff making fun of FUDs, everything else, and someone giving a big stern lecture about this type of decisiveness and making fun of FUDs and all this is, in a time where the liberals are after our gun rights, this just hurts the community instead of helps it. Look, I get what you're trying to say, but this is a perfect example. When it comes down to it, we talk shit. It's what we do. This community isn't Little Snowflake, or at least shouldn't be. Seems to be sometimes, but it shouldn't be. It's supposed to be more of the alpha male type, outgoing, conservative, outspoken, loud, obnoxious, in-your-face type stuff for the most part. We fuck around, we joke, we talk shit. It's what people do. When
we don't have a common enemy, we turn it in on ourselves.
And 99% of it is all in good fun. Mm-hmm. All this FUD shit, we don't fucking care. I don't care if you like a 1911.
My dad's a FUD. I love it.
Yeah, I'm going to fuck with you, but it's only good fun. Yeah. It's whatever floats your boat.
The one that's really getting me the most right now, I'm an ex-cop, right? And we are getting a lot of cops are reaching out to us going, "Oh, I'm done with your brand. You guys talk about killing cops." I'm like, "No, we don't. Matter of fact, I put body armor on over 10,000 cops in this country since 2017. I'm pretty sure I save lives. I don't recommend. I'm not promoting. Oh, well, you post that Boogaloo stuff and call us redcoats." And I'm like, "No, wait a minute. This is not what's going on here." So I found out this morning that from a law enforcement friend of mine that a national officer safety alert went out everywhere. This went state highway patrols, sheriff's departments, police departments, big cities, little munis, that the term Boogaloo is used by hate groups.
Of course.
Hate groups to describe killing police officers. So now every cop in the country thinks the term Boogaloo is about killing cops. Now, I do realize that we have a certain percentage of our audience that thinks that the Boogaloo is that the cops are going to come for their guns with the red flag laws and all this stuff. And so we're seeing a portion of gun owners, specifically younger gun owners in this country, are becoming very anti-cop very fast because of the red flag law stuff. Well, what I want to remind everybody is, first of all, that it's not the cops that created the red flag laws. It's the lawmakers, right? Most cops, no matter what, and I put some polls out on our Instagram today, most cops will not enforce anything like that, right? Especially in this situation in Virginia. So Virginia, it's not even the red flag law. Their governor comes out and says, "You know what? We're going to outlaw guns, and we're going to force you to give them all, turn them all in, or we're going to come and take them from you."
Yeah.
Well, why did the governor then threaten to use the National Guard? Well, he did that because the police chiefs and the sheriffs all said, "Fuck that. We ain't doing that shit.
You can go do it."
Because the vast majority of law enforcement in this country is not going to enforce unconstitutional laws, even if it's part of the job. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
There's going to be a couple cops in each department that are pieces of shit and will do that.
Or, most of California.
For most of California, New York. There are pockets in this country where maybe the cops are redcoats. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm talking California, New York, Massachusetts.
I would count California.
When it comes to gun laws. But the thing I think we're failing to remember, though, is it's the lawmakers. The lawmakers are the ones that are causing the problem. And in this case, most of these lawmakers are Democrats, just like the Democrats that just forced the impeachment, on President Trump. They're using their laws to their own end. And in this case, they're creating division. Back during Ferguson, everybody loved cops. We couldn't keep thin blue line stuff because everybody had a common enemy. The bad people, the rioters, they were the enemy. The cops are the thin blue line, and everybody loves the cops. Oh, you shouldn't spit on a cop. You spit on a cop, I'll beat you up. Blah, 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 blah. There's all this support for cops. But then But and what are the Democrats saying? The Democrats are saying, the cops, they're the worst. They're not here to help you. We need to reform law enforcement. The cops are the enemy. And then now here we are 10 years later, and the Democrats are saying that the cops are your friend, that they're just here to take your guns away.
Yeah.
And by doing so, they're creating division. They're basically these red flag laws, which violate the first, second, fourth, fifth, and sixth amendment of the Constitution.
So what?
That's how bad they are, right? They are using those. This red flag law thing is actually creating a dangerous environment for cops. They're putting cops in the line of fire on social media and in the real fucking world, right? And I think we need to come together as a community. If you look at our audience is like 30-something% military, 30-something% cops, and 30-something% American patriots.
Yeah.
That haven't served in either one of those capacities.
When it comes down to it, my only share in this I'll say is it's time to remind politicians that I don't know when it changed. I don't know why it changed. Politicians are here to be we're a democratic republic. We're not a republic. We're not a democracy. We're a democratic republic. We have elected figures whose job is to represent our views, our morals, and our political beliefs in the areas we have elected them. At some point in time, that switched from public servant to us being there for them. I don't know why that changed, when we slipped up and allowed that to change, but last time I checked, we are not here to serve them, make their career last longer, which is a whole other segment I could get into. They are here to represent and do our bidding, not the other fucking way around. And it's time via emails, letters, phone calls, whatever has to be done to remind them of that.
Ballot boxes.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is we need to come together as a community of law enforcement, military, active and veterans, and American patriots.
Everybody. I don't
gun
care.
Owners.
Fucking liberals, Democrats, leftists,
15% of the people in the audience in Detroit the other night when Trump was impeached and he was doing he had his rally in Detroit. 15% of them were Democrats.
Yeah.
Registered Democrats. Most common sense Democrats are turning on the Democratic Party because they realize that they're liars, they're cheats, they're socialists, they're communists.
Democrat House members left the Democratic Party and re-registering as Republicans because of what happened.
Well, all I wanted to say was law enforcement is not the enemy of the Second Amendment. Lawmakers are the enemy of the Second Amendment. If you're a law enforcement officer, I expect you to be an oath keeper.
Absolutely.
You took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of whatever state you serve. Any violation of that, you should not take those orders. Tell them to stick those orders.
And if you lose your job,
if you lose your job, you come work at TacticalSht. And then you got the hardcore borthers out there that are like, you can't have a thin blue line and a Punisher skull on your pickup truck. I was literally having this conversation down at West Orlando Firearms Training the other day with a guy named Dave. Dave's a bad motherfucker, right? Dave's a shooter, physical, hand-to-hand combat guy.
Goddamn
bearded guy, drives a pickup truck. He's what you think of, right? And he's got a "Don't Tread on Me" snake flag on one side of his toolbox. And on the other side of his toolbox was a thin blue line flag. And I said, "You ever get any trouble about all that?" He's like, "Fuck no, why?" And I explained to him this bullshit where people are like, "Well, you can't like one and the other because the cops are the ones that tread on my snake," right? It's so fucking ridiculous. So he looked at me like I was insane while I was explaining this. And he basically agreed with me in the fact that in America we have freedom. We have freedom inherent to us, given to us by our Bill of Rights, by our founding fathers' Bill of Rights, the U.S. Constitution. Without the rule of law, you cannot have that freedom. Because without the rule of law, I'm stronger than you. I have a gun. You don't have a gun. I'm going to take your freedom.
That's what anarchy is.
Right. Anarchy is not freedom. There's no freedom in anarchy. You're just you're subjected to whoever's bigger, badder has more guns.
Although some would say that is the ultimate freedom.
It might be. So
Look how that's worked in Africa.
So the rule of law, in my opinion, is required. It's necessary to protect the freedom that we have. It's when the laws begin infringing upon the freedom that the system has gone too far. And that is when we need to change the system. We don't change the system by fantasizing about killing cops on our front porch. We change the system by showing up at rallies, by get that look off your face. Showing up at rallies, calling our congressmen, calling our senators, showing up in Washington, D.C., talking, believe it or not, memes. Memes are the best part of the boog. The real boog is how we get the conversation started at every level. So it's great that all the cops are now thinking about this, but the Dems have spun it to say, oh, Boogs is just a bunch of conservative right-wing hate mongers that want to kill cops.
But this is time for them to find out and realize, you know what? I don't want to be on that end.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the one. This is time to seriously do some self-reflection and look, and are you willing to take away people's rights and such?
We received a ton of messages today from Virginian cops that were like, yeah, I'm not enforcing any of this shit. We also received a bunch of messages from Virginia National Guard, who also said that they are not going to follow illegal,
there is no
orders from their government.
Be in Virginia National Guard right now.
Yeah, right. So I don't know. Just everybody needs to just take a deep breath and remember that we're all Americans, and the real enemy here
is a politician.
Is the politicians.
The same enemy it's always fucking been.
Yeah, the enemy is the state, and the state currently is the state run by the Democrats and the gun grabbers, and they want to grab your guns because why? They want to do bad things to you.
Well, because you can't establish a socialist government with an armed population. That's why.
Yeah, look at Venezuela.
Yeah.
All right, we've talked long enough, and we rambled on, and we'll see if anybody actually listens to this podcast. If you've got anything to say to me, fuck you or otherwise, say it in the comments. Subscribe to our email, get our emails every day, subscribe to this podcast, go shopping at shop.TacticalSht.com. And right now we're giving 17.76% off with promo code BOOG.
Wow.
Bye-bye.